we've got a packed agenda for you this afternoon, and I want to turn to something a little different. We talked a lot there about the future. I want to talk about the next generation now, and particularly when it comes to business, about skills. Particularly when we move into a digital-first world, do we all have the right skills for the future? How do we teach people the skills of tomorrow? What additional expertise will we need in future to keep up with the pace of transformation? Digital literacy and adaptability will shape our ability to work, to live, and to play. And so to discuss that, please welcome my panel, and I will introduce them to you in just a moment. Come on up. Nice to see you. Please, nice to see you. Please take a seat. Welcome. Hi, take a seat. Hello, nice to see you. Take a seat. I'm going to get you introduce yourselves each as we go along, but Hemang, let me start with you because we look at the pace, the rate of change ahead. We know that our skills base is changing, but I wonder whether learning will be a constant thing in future, Hemang, not just a one-off, that we're going to have to prepare ourselves to constantly keep learning.
Yes, absolutely, Ben. Thank you. And that's a great question, I believe. So, see what happens when we are looking for a digital tech in the organizations. What my role in that organization is, we are traditionally a staffing and recruitment business, right? So
I should say as well, you're at priority.com as well. To introduce you, sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So what we traditionally look into is that the talent acquisition, right? And the upskilling and the upskilling of the talent is critically important. And what happens is the maintaining the talent and maintaining the skills of the employees have also been kind of in a disruption with the AI tech. So what we need to make sure and what leaders must make sure is they have a model for curiosity.
Yeah.
Right? And it is very simple. Organizations can foster a think tank. They can empower people to question the status quo, right? And they can generate the curiosity, what if, right? We often forget when we are engaging with the current organization, the employee, the talent pool, we forgot that question, what if? So we need to, one of the key things I speak to them about is we need to allocate resources, dedicate the days like innovation days, right? Foster thought, innovation lab, cross-function collaboration, and the discussion on the emerging technologies like AI. So that becomes a very critical point to inspire the idea from within the organization to promote the think tank that promotes the idea. So in an essence, I believe it is critically important to build curiosity, engage with the curiosity, and also measure and award the curiosity. What often happens is we do not encourage the activity and the engagement from the think tank. So we have to make sure we have matrix in place where leaders are involved and they are taking peer-to-peer discussions with the think tank and they are measuring the ideas that is coming from the think tank. They're making sure those ideas are implemented and they are equally awarding those curiosities as well.
Yeah, and that's the point, isn't it? Curiosity is such an important word, Chinmai. I'll bring you in here because, we talk about needing the skills and what we need to learn, but, how do we encourage people to be curious and not just play within the rules? Because, we learn the skills to deal with the technology, but how do we say, actually, it's not about that. It's about, being curious, using it as a tool to give you something else.
So Ben, before I answer that, if you allow me, I just wanted to do two things. So I just wanted to unveil my book and just believe me that this is not a marketing gimmick on behalf of IGF. This is a book that I have written, globally launched recently. Why I brought it here is because as leaders, I feel we have a great responsibility, right? And that responsibility is about delivering a modern workplace that takes into consideration the next level of employee experience. Yeah. And that is applicable to student experience as well, because two controversial statements that I will make, and if you're a parent, please don't hate me, and if you're a consultant, please don't judge me. I think that as parents, we are too bogged down with our kids' success, academic success. The other thing I believe is, as consultant, technology is dumbing us down, and I'm very surprised that I'm saying this, being in this consulting field for about 2 decades, I see that Gen AI is really making dumb consultants, right? Coming back to responding to your question, Ben, I feel there are 3 things which can keep the curiosity or the creativity alive, right? If we as leaders, if we as parents, or in any shape or form, we as mentors are able to focus on 3 things, right? One is making sure that innovation remains as an agenda, which is a lifelong agenda. The second thing I would say is we need to teach our students and the young consultants who we are grooming to have the problem solving capability, because nowadays post COVID, as a leader, what I felt is that a lot of people actually get stuck with issues rather than the solutions, right?
Yeah.
And then the third thing I would say is the critical thinking, right? That's the third thing which I feel is lacking and is something which can be driven by leaders to keep the curiosity living and burning within an individual.
Yeah, that curiosity is a word that we'll keep coming back to in this discussion. Punit, nice to see you as well. Welcome. Love your socks, by the way. Congratulations
Thank
on the
you.
amazing
Batman
socks.
in the
They're great. We talked there about AI, giving us the tools, but it will take on more and more within an organization. Do you think we're going to get to the point, maybe finally, where soft skills become the most crucial thing to an organization? It's not about an ability to process things or to use technology. It's about what can you bring that is a soft skill, largely creativity, I assume, or innovation. But we need to refocus what we prioritize within an organization.
Absolutely, right. So we're educators. I come from the Indian Eye Group of Schools. It's UAE's largest, oldest non-for-profit group of schools. We've got 13,000 learners. And so we have been grappling with this issue in terms of the role of technology, digital learning, curiosity, and obviously soft skills. There's a lot of pressure from parents and parents who want to achieve. You heard what Meena was saying, and we heard what Chinmai and Hemang are saying, the kind of expectations that parents set for their students and their learners. Right? If you look at Education 4.0, the framework by the World Education Forum, the World Economic Forum, it's very clear. Out of the 8 transformative skills, 6 of them are actually soft skills. You talk about character building, you talk about empathy, you talk about global citizenship, you talk about collective learning, and 2 of them are hard in terms of technical and data. So there's a very clear narrative and a very clear pivot that digital learning is the future, right? But unless we as organizations, so if I talk as an educator or as a school, what's my role? Right? Unless I provide an enabling platform to the students to experiment and almost mess up. We spoke about digital curiosity. Where is the platform where children are actually allowed to fail? We've seen in the last 4 days, there was a child in the news, there was a Massachusetts federal judge who ruled that the child was expelled and they appealed in the court and it was denied. Right? My question in that is, there's a duty of care the school has, and did the school actually let that child fail, try an AI tool, an internal exam, and say, guess what, buddy, you got caught out. You shouldn't be doing that. So we have a duty of care. I don't think as educators, leaders, schools, entities, we are doing enough to train our students and to actually make them aware of the risks and potential. So we keep talking about digital literacy, we keep talking about digital curiosity, but where is the impact on the risks? Where is actually the consequences of the actions that they are taking? It's all about parental pressure. It's all about achieving and succeeding. And yesterday's dinner, Ben, you summarized it well, didn't you? When we saw Leander Pace's awesome video, we saw Suhail, and we saw Faisal. The talk wasn't about how you can achieve, be a go-getter, I'm an Olympic champion. This is what Leander spoke about his father and the kind of values that he gave. Suhail spoke about religion, the wonderful leaders of this country, and how they have actually spun the rhetoric to tolerance and empathy. We saw Brahmavihari Swami talking about why he has built the temple and the purpose behind it. So all of that is linked to the soft skills, is linked to the human element. And you look at Meena's session, no bot or AI could do that. So there you go. So that's why the focus has to be on the human being, on the person.
And Hemang, how do you measure that though? Because so much of our recruitment process is about, can you do this job? Do you have the appropriate skills to fulfill the roles of this job? How do you measure soft skills? How do you measure empathy? How do you measure creativity, innovation, curiosity? How do you do that?
So one of the key things I like to tell about this is that AI handle tasks and human handle people, right? So with the new tech, it is just that the technical execution of all the mundane tasks and day-to-day could be taken over by the AI in the next decade. we are assuming millions of people are going to lose their job only if we are not measuring the current skills and we are not upgrading the current skill with the AI, right? So things like leader focuses on is like vision, right? That is always going to be remain uniquely and emotional intelligent for a leader, right? To drive a team for a success, to achieve the organization agenda is always going to fall on the people. So we always have to make sure we have that collaboration within the team to enable the team to use the tech to achieve the mundane task and foster relationships and collaboration within the team to engage and achieve the organization goals. So I believe it's the soft skills are more about the complex decision makings, right? And AI is going to play more roles on the back office kind of things, you know?
Yeah, I still can't quite get my head around how we measure it. We know what's going to happen, and it's got to be a process, hasn't it, of constant learning.
There will be
because
checks
you can't leave university and say, right, I'm
Absolutely
fully
not.
equipped for the world of work. This is going to be sort of a constant process of learning. Do you think enough organizations understand that yet?
Not at the moment, no, but we are seeing a lot of organizations are coming up and they are creating the collaborations. They are coming up with the days like Innovative Day, talking about the emerging technologies, talking about how we are going to enable the technology within the team, because the soft skills at the end of the day is how you're going to run your business as an organization. So measuring success at each level becomes very critical. From top management to the bottom management, you have to ensure each and every person is enabled with that technology. To give you an example, HDFC, one of the big banks, had run a test wherein they were providing a customer support using an AI tech. If a normal telecaller is deployed and answering the same question, that would take them 8 to 10 minutes. With the help of an AI, it was merely taking them 45 seconds. So I think organizations like HDFC and smaller organizations such as ourselves as well, we are enabling techs and we are making sure that each and every member of the organization is uplifted and utilizing the tech. And to keep that in check, leaders must engage and create the panel within the organization and discussion and measure that each and every part of that point is measured in success. Right? So it will be more peer-to-peer decision.
Punit's nodding along to you. I'll come to you in just a second. But Chinmai, the whole point of this as well is we need to take ownership of it ourselves, don't we? Maybe traditionally we've sort of relaxed a little bit and said, right, I've qualified, I've got my results, I've got my grades, my degrees, my whatever, and I'm ready now. This is a lifelong process where we need to sort of say, right, how do I keep myself fully equipped for what's coming next? Because we don't really know. We can make educated guesses about the future, but we need to sort of put ourselves in the best place and say, this is a process of constant reinvention.
True. So I probably think, Ben, that as the technology is, as we are engulfed and encompassed by technology, purpose-driven mindset is something which needs to be elevated. Where we as humans, I believe, need to change ourselves is really look at, again, three things when it comes to mindset, right? And if you ask me what is mindset is two simple things. Mindset is the thoughts that emanate in your mind and the actions that you take based on those thoughts. I mean, if you take right actions, you probably will have a right mindset. If you take wrong actions, the results will not be the ones that you expect, and hence the mindset unfortunately becomes a challenge. So if you were to ask me to correct all this, I feel lifelong learning, as you yourself said, Ben, is something which needs to be inculcated from the student age. They can use technology, but should not get driven by technology. The technology should only be aiding them really understanding what they want. The second point that I will try to make with regards to purpose-driven mindset, I would say is more on finding the right mentor, which actually is a trait that is getting lost. A lot of people feel shy to reach out to people who they look up to. They probably would look at the flaws of those people rather than looking at how best they can get out of them.
Do you think it works the other way too, that people who would traditionally be mentors look at the next generation and say, what do I offer? It's changed so much since I did it. How can I be of help?
100%. That's a great thought, Ben. And say, I mean, in my book also, the book actually talks about the multi-generational dilemma, multi-generational workforce dilemma, right? Because a Gen Z working with me, I'm being a Gen Xer, and I actually worked for a baby boomer. it was completely different, right? I mean, I was fearful of my leaders. As a leader now, I have opened up towards Gen Zs because there is a certain way they want to work. They actually set expectations upfront. They lay the foundation for how I should behave with them and how I should treat them. Yeah. It was completely different, right? So yes, I mean, as leaders, we also have to change and learn a lot from junior folks, which actually are reflective of the generation they belong to.
Yeah. Punit, you're nodding along to all of this. Do you want to come in? I mean, where do you sit on this with students in school right now? Have they got that concept of knowing that this is the start of a long journey, that, you know, that constant reinvention and that constant learning is something that they need to focus on now to put the building blocks in place? Because it's changing so quickly. They could be training now for a job that doesn't exist in 10 years.
Yeah, so we know the statistic, right? The 80% of the jobs that are learners of today don't exist today, right? So we all know that statistic. Again, what's the duty of care that educators have? Actually, my question, do the teachers get it? Do they get it that they're actually now enablers and they're tools, they're facilitators? It's no longer about listening to your own voice in the classroom. It's more bilateral. It's more about setting an enabling platform and the teacher and the educator being a catalyst. So I think it needs to start from there. The other bit that I think needs to be looked at and, you know, refreshed is, you know, we have this traditional model of working in a silo, where you have the curriculum, you have the syllabi, and everybody is moving to the standardized testing model and eventually wanting to get into a rat race. Unfortunately, I'm not a rat, neither are you. We're not rats. So why do we need to be in a race? Right? So it surprises people when I talk that way, that, well, you know, you're heading a school, so what's this bit about actually moving away from academics? So again, what Chinmai and what Hemang are saying is important. Critical thinking and continuously learning. But it's all rhetoric. Where is the platform that is being provided to children of today, to learners of today, to move away from a conventional school? It's all about curriculum. The decision matrix are based on curriculum, location, price point. Yeah. It's not about what's actually taught, right? And again, it's a very prescriptive approach. The best way to kill data curiosity is to prescribe. Right? You're just going to kill it. So we talk about a kid being curious in the Reggio Emilia approach or the Montessori approach. A young child gets all messy, experiments, experiential learning, and then makes mistakes and then moves forward. That's how we all learned, right? Yeah. And here now it's becoming extremely compartmentalized, extremely prescriptive, right? And I think that's where the learner is suffering. So unless schools get their act together, I mean, universities may disappear. There are boot camps that are coming up that are far more effective, but even schools, right? We need to really evolve ourselves. Does the regulator allow me to do that? Does the curriculum board allow me to do that? Does the examination board allow me to do that? Well, no, but you've got to make a move somewhere. You've got to make a start somewhere. You've got to draw a line in the sand and then set expectations clear.
And the thing that always fascinates me here is, you know, what the expectation is of business, that who is training these young people? Is it the responsibility of schools and colleges and universities, or is it the responsibility of organizations saying, these are the roles and I will train you for them? And I guess you'll probably tell me it's a bit of both.
Absolutely,
but,
you're
where
right.
Does, you know, which side does that fall?
So we are blessed to be in a country called the UAE. We got progressive leaders, right? So we got schools with 18 different curriculum, 300,000 students, etc. The fastest growing private education sector in the world. So you got a very progressive regulator in the KHDA. Again, so it's the work of the government as well. Again, the government here, His Highness has a very clear mission: zero bureaucracy and be an enabler and be a catalyst to the private sector. Yeah. So unless we all work together, it sounds very cliche, but it's as simple as that. Unless I work with industry and unless I work with government and we all work together, when I say I mean the education sector, and we all come together, we keep talking about children being critical thinkers, teamwork. Look at the education system. It teaches you how to actually ace and examine individual scores. Yeah. That's what it's all about, individual standardized scores. Yeah. Then I get to university and then I have some group projects. I really struggle and stumble my way. And then I get to their companies and I go to work in a team. But I'm not being taught that skill, have I? Yeah. I have not been graded on that. My curriculum doesn't allow me to grade for empathy and tolerance. Yeah. It allows a very individualistic way of thinking and curriculum. I come from a collective society, I come from a collective culture, but the curriculum I'm imposed, I'm not having a go, but Sohail said yesterday about the colonial impact, right? Yeah. He had a nice banter with you, nice banter there. But again, it's a legacy that we leave. It's a very individual approach. There's no collective sense in terms of grading and actually putting a score on the softer, critical, more important human side.
We don't have a lot of time, but Hemang, a thought from you, if I can, on, what the pandemic did was meant we could work from anywhere. We could work
Yes.
from home. We could work from wherever in the world. Amazing in that, it breaks down all those barriers. I could work for an organization on the other side of the world if I wanted to. That also clearly opens you up to global competition for that same job. But that assumes that there is the skills around the world.
Yeah.
Is it universal that we are lacking certain skills, or is this a geographical problem? Because I imagine there's a hugely technical job. Where is the skill coming for that? Is it particular in a part of the world, or are we all competing for the same people now that we've broken down all these borders?
So actually, this has actually become one of the biggest problems right now for the organizations worldwide. And reportedly, 40% of the hirings are incorrect hirings all around the world, all around the sectors. Because what happens is the problem happens from the beginning, from the recruiting to the execution, right? And because we have embodied the work from home culture, the right technical assessment, the adaptive tests are not performed as they were used to earlier. Because right now, you can be sitting in Mumbai and deploying a software in America, right? Those settings, I remember, because we supplied to the NHS, I remember there was a time we were not allowed to touch the data from India because of course, you can't, because of the GDPR, you cannot cross-border transaction and you cannot have the data downloads. But since COVID, all those parameters have been lifted now. So you are allowed to download the data and seamlessly. There are benefits, but there are disadvantages as well, right? And you have to make sure like all of that critical execution happens and the deployments happen with the right set of tools. So. Yeah.
Perfect. Our time is up, but it's been so good to talk to you. As always, and I say this at all these sessions, they are short, they are just a shop window. Please find any of our panelists outside. I'm sure you'd all be delighted to talk some more about any of the issues. I'm really grateful for your time. So thank you to Hemang, to Chinmai, and to Punit. Ladies and gents, please show our appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.